All right. Good evening, everybody. Oops. Happy full moon.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have people here for this is our maiden voyage into doing this kind of thing. So first, can you see my slides first of all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I wanted to do was just introduce ourselves. I think those of you who are here know us, but I'm going to introduce ourselves anyway. So my name is Lisa Merrifield. I'm with Trails Edge Astrology in Champaign, Illinois. And oops, one more to admit, just a sec. So again, my name is Lisa Merrifield. I'm with Trails Edge Astrology here in Champaign, Illinois. And Kelly, who are you?
Oh, I'm that one on the right there, Kelly. I kind of go by Frida Kahlo, which is my art name, I guess. We don't really have an astrology name yet for me.
We're working on that.
We're working on that, yeah.
So as we get started, when astrologers introduce themselves to each other, we talk about our big three. And our big three are our sun sign, our moon sign, and our rising sign. So I thought it would be fun for Kelly and me to talk about who we are in astrology terms, and sun, moon, and rising. So Kelly, you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Oh, I don't mind going.
Okay.
We're happy everybody's here so that we could talk about ourselves.
That's right. This was the entire plan.
It's the captive audience.
Exactly.
No, there's no leave button down there.
Right.
We've eliminated it.
Oops, we get some background noise. You see. Oh, nope, it's gone. Okay.
I am a Libra sun and an Aries rising. An Aries moon and a Cancer rising.
We got somebody who's got some background noise. Let me see if I can see all of you. There we go. I think I got it. Okay. Yay. Kelly, go on. Tell us about yourself. Your
and there's this big old giant stellium that I have, which is stellium is a conglomeration of planets within a house or a sign. I have that going on in Libra. So there's a hell of a lot of balancing act going on in my life.
Yeah, tell us what does Libra mean? What is happening?
Well, it's kind of it's a sign that it's a sign that likes beauty. It's a sign that likes balance. It's a sign that really does enjoy children, creating, romance, fun, all those really goody things that, every sign has goody things, but the Libra is yummy, I think. I'm happy to be a Libra. And then of course, now this is kind of a fun thing to note, that if you see that my moon is in Aries, what that means is that they are on opposite sides of the chart. So that is a pretty good indication that, hello, I was born on a full moon. So I love full moons. I'm usually up all night on full moon nights. And I always wondered why before I kind of got into astrology, and that's kind of why. And then my rising sign, where the sun was coming up in the sky at my birth time, is in Cancer. And so Cancer is a sign of nurturing. It's a sign of mothering, of taking care of things and people. And so yeah, so I've got like mushy things, and then that Aries stuff going on.
Excellent. That was beautiful. Thank you for leading us off. So
what about you, Lisa? Because I can't wait for this.
So I was born with a sun in Capricorn, which is I like to think of it as me and Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is also a Capricorn, so it's just the two of us together. So Capricorn is a sign. We're grounded and practical. We like things to be useful, but Capricorns can also be ambitious. We're mountain goats. We're always climbing the hill. We got to do one better. I mix that with a moon in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a sign of of, of I like to think of it as like the sign of outer space. It's wisdom and it's vision and it's all of the big ideas. And so while my sun is in Capricorn and I'm practical, my moon requires me to always find the meaning and the magic in everything I do. And then my rising sign, which is the tools that help me enact that sun and moon, is in Scorpio. And that's the researcher, and that's the part of me that can dig deep, and I can, I can dig to the nuggets. I can peel the onion. I can really I can be intense. I can be passionate with that rising sign in Scorpio. So the nice way I say it is I'm a practical idealist. The less nice way to say it, or my teasing way to say it is, I'm not just bossy. I am the boss, and your rules don't apply to me. So at the end of the day, that's how I think it. I don't, Kelly, you've known me a while now. I don't know if it really shows up that way, but it can. So.
So I kind of like to refer to us as the pocket protector and the potty mouth.
Yes, you can decide who's who.
We'll let you guys, we'll give you a test by the end.
At the end, exactly. All right. So when I pitched this idea to Kelly, I just wanted you to know I don't know that you all know who this is. Some of you are too young for it, but in like, I think the 80s, on Saturday Night Live, there was a show called The Delicious Dish. And these two women would sit and they were so deadpan. And one of them would talk about this wonderful meal they'd had in like this monotone voice, and the other would say, "Wow, that's neat. Huh. Interesting." Anyway, so Kelly, I don't think that's us, but I had to share because I thought that was so hilarious.
Oh, that just came to my mind the minute you suggested doing this. I was like, oh yeah, that'll be great.
That's it.
And if I would have had a pair of headphones like that, I even thought about like making one out of paper mache.
So Kelly, that is a perfect segue, because Kelly is an artist, and I want to know, Kelly's doing a fabulous project, and I want her to share it with all of us because I'm so excited.
Well, I'm kind of on this quest to create full moon cards, like altar cards. And Lisa had suggested this term altar card to me a while back, and I went, oh, I love that. It's not an oracle card necessarily. It's not tarot. It's something that we can maybe use if we, me, myself, and I ever get them finished, to beautify an altar for full moon, just another little ditty to add to the altar. That on the front side is going to have one of my crazy illustrations, and on the back will tell you which moon of the year it is, because we've got different moons names every month, and those are derived from Native American legend, and also like farming, like the Farmer's Almanac uses them, and they're there every year, the same moon names in the same month, only changes when there is an extra moon apparently in a month, and then you've got your blue moon. So there'll be 13 cards total, and there'll be this is kind of the raw artwork. So they will only be the size of the colorful area on them, which will be, I can't remember the size now. Numbers this week have gotten me all screwed up. But anyway, I thought it would be, I don't want them to be too super educational. I don't want them to be too woo-woo. I don't want it to be like, ooh, this is what, this is what the new moon means for you, but to be more of a poetic entrance into the energy of that moon for that month.
Yeah, as I say, I'm so excited about these. I think they're so beautiful. And yeah, I love rotating through images of the moon, throughout the year, and kind of just feeling into, what's going on and what that is. And so,
and because the moon is very much oriented with seasons, and it has been for
mhm,
forever and ever and ever, especially with we humans. So it's a really integral part of an organic approach to our timing, I think.
mhm, I think
So
so too.
the more we get in tune with it and tap into it, the easier this walk is going to be.
Exactly. I totally agree. So you're through 6 of them. Do you have, I
I
know we can't rush the creative process, but I have my Mars and Aries opposite my Uranus and Leo, or in Libra, which means that you can't go fast enough for me. I always want it yesterday. So do you have any idea?
I think there are a couple more that I've Yeah, I've done the buck moon and the sturgeon moon. So there's
Oh,
2 more on
awesome.
top of this. So I'm almost there. And it's not I can get, it's not like I'm waking up and working on them either. So I can get one or two done a day. And then the process becomes the icky part that I don't like, which is dealing with the details, the deets of the printing. And
Mhm.
I actually do like the photography. I like the getting them perfectly how I want them in order to send. I like doing that stuff. It's kind of weird. I don't know where that comes from. Um, but I'm not really crazy about the niggly little pricing, well, if you do this, it's going to cost this much more.
Mhm.
And I have to decide on a box for them and all that stuff. So that's
Yeah.
not the fun part for me, but that's what's coming. I figured you get your dessert first and then afterwards
You can get your
yeah.
perfect. Yes. Well, we are super excited. And I think anybody on this call gets my email list or gets emails from me. And when they are ready, I will let you know and how to get your
Lisa.
hands on them. Yes. So I say I'm so totally excited about this. I think they'll be a
Good.
wonderful addition to my home. And I hope lots of other people's as well.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you, dear.
all right. Oops. I don't know where we're going. We're going backwards. There we go. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about this full moon, which occurred, I believe, at 10:30 this morning. It was exact. And Kelly and I were talking before everybody got on. We can't see it here in Champaign. You can't see it in New Mexico, right? So,
Mm-mm.
go out and look at the moon when you can, where you can. So, so the Leo is the sign of self-expression, and it's a very heart-centered sign. It's a very creative sign. I put some keywords down here: love, generosity, play. Um, if you're looking for affirmations, Leo is opposite Aquarius, which means that we're playing with that duality during this lunar cycle. And Leo is again that self-expression and the me, and Aquarius is the we. And so one of the affirmations I thought about is like making space for everyone. Like I have a place, I contribute in a unique way, but other people do too. And so that's sort of that energy that we can work with on this moon. And really, one of the things I think is beautiful about astrology is that, regardless of any higher meaning you attribute to it, um, it kind of gives you a focus, and following the lunar cycles can give you a focus and some things to think about and things to work on that we all need to work on at any given time. And as you do it more, Kelly, tell me, I can feel into the energy as it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It,
Yeah.
it helps you to, I think it helps you to recognize the synchronicities of those energies as
Mm-hmm.
well. And the more you get used to doing that, the more magic happens. I'm just gonna say it right there.
Exactly. Yeah, I think any astrologer out there, we're all gaga over the moon. We're all, the sun is great. We need it, but the moon really, the moon's our hearts. The moons are, our emotions and our feeling. So yeah, so this Leo moon is just a chance to really feel into those creative and playful and heart-centered spaces. Um, I also want to mention there's a fair number of aspects going on around this moon that make it a particularly interesting one. So so we have a Mars Venus conjunction, and that means the cosmic lovers are coming together in the sky, and it's action meeting passion around this full moon that is heart centered and encouraging us to self express and be creative. The moon is also doing what's called squaring the nodes of fate. Um, and those are karmic points in the sky. And so that makes it a choice point. So we've got, the action meets passion and a place for choices. And then we have this beautiful harmonious energy between Jupiter and Uranus, which is like giving us opportunities and just opening doors potentially. So, one of the things Kelly and I have talked about is that this can feel like a lot. And I was talking to a friend today at lunch who was saying, I have space to do things that used to bother me, and they still bother me, but I feel the opening. So Kelly, how are you feeling? What do you think about this moon?
For me, I don't know why this happens, maybe because of the stellium in Libra, but I kind of get this image in my mind. Okay. I'm on a swift moving river, like the Colorado River, let's say. And it's a glorious summer afternoon. Those kind of days that make you feel uninhibited, let's just say. Like you could rip off all your clothes, it wouldn't matter, right? And that could be a little dangerous feeling. But so all of these people that I know are in a raft, okay? And they're like, Cal, come on, get in the raft, get in the raft. And I, being this Aries moon and some other things in the chart, am saying, no, thank you. I have taken the inner tube out of my car tire and I'm going to use it because I know where it comes from and, all these reasons that I don't really tell the people in the raft, right? But I'll be with you in just a minute. And so I want to jump in that water so bad, but I'm going through this list in my head. Oh, is the inner tube, the stem thingy operating right? Is it closing off so the air stays in? Is the rubber thick enough? And I go crazy thinking, and this energy that we're having to me is jump in the fucking water, excuse my French.
I love it.
Jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Don't.
Yes.
I'm not saying be crazy. I'm not saying to not be careful. I'm just saying you can stand on the edge of that river and you can find all kinds of things wrong with your inner tube
Mm-hmm.
that keep you from going and having fun with those other people. And by the way, there's a ton of them in that boat. And if something happens and you flip over, they're going to come and help you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Do it.
Right. I think there's a lot of support right now. Yeah, and a lot of forward motion. And I hope those of you on the call with us and those of you listening afterwards, I hope you're feeling that, like feeling like we've had a couple of years, 2020 and 2021 were tough years by any stretch, but the astrology bore that out. I've heard 2020 described um, an immovable force hitting an unstoppable object. It was a Saturn Pluto conjunction that year. And of course, it happened right as COVID was heating up, and like it stopped all of us. And then 2021 was really about what we call a Saturn Uranus square, which is Saturn is our rules and our structures, and Uranus is here to blow them up. And so last year was all about that negotiating and what do we need to release and move and change so that we could move forward. And finally, in 2022, particularly this spring, we've got this opening. And yeah, it can be overwhelming, but I hope that many of us are jumping in and just going down the river.
Yeah.
And Kelly, I mean, when we were talking last week, you mentioned like bareback horseback riding.
Oh yeah. It is that kind of energy as well. It's like I had a horse for a while that I would bareback ride, and because I thought she was really, predictable, right? And that energy when you're bareback riding, you go into a full gallop, is just, there's nothing like it. I mean,
Wow.
it's really thrilling until she decides to make like one of those Mercedes turns, right hand Mercedes turn without tapping.
And that's not so good.
Then you get dumped.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the energy here, but I'm saying that that's kind of that feeling of being on the edge with the inner tube, afraid to jump in. Maybe that fear comes from past experiences of things that maybe didn't work out so well, like near drownings or,
right.
that.
Right.
But I think that this energy is trying to get our attention away from over analyzing things too much and spending a little more time on, you had mentioned the polarity as well. And I think that's a really important part of this, this full moon. Because it's just like my analogy of the river, like me on the bank being Leo and the people out in the boat are, Aquarius. It's like those two energies, that group energy and that individual energy. And I think what it is you don't want the Leo part of it, that me part of it, to stop you from moving ahead. I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because in astrology, when we're looking at a chart, we can tell where this energy is going to hit in your life based on where the planets are at a particular time. So we're looking at that Leo Aquarius axis. And for me, Leo is on my midheaven. And that's the top of my chart. So that is my public life. So it makes sense that this is the first webinar I've done like this. I'm starting to teach astrology classes. I've just joined a group called Her Creative Collective, which is a group of just fabulous women here in Champaign. And we're doing more of this kind of stuff. So that's how it's showing up for me. Scary, but also really exciting. That's,
yep.
He's
coming out.
I know. I was again talking to somebody else today who said, I had no idea you did this. And I went, I know, because I never told anyone.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But it is. So where's it showing up in your chart, Kelly?
Gosh, in my chart, it's in the third house, which is, well, we talked about this.
We don't have to talk about.
I have a lot of sibling stuff going on right now.
But it can also be communication. Again, you're stepping out. It can be
communication, perception. It's funny because all of the transiting planets, the ones that are just out there in the sky and how they're relating to my chart, they're all in the upper hemisphere right now.
Really?
I have a night chart, so most of my stuff is down below, but all of these transits are happening up above. And I've been watching that for a while. I've been going, I wonder what that's going to be, because I could be a real hermit. I mean, I love my hermitaging. or
And I
whatever.
could see with a Cancer rising, and there you have Pisces on your midheaven, and those are really watery, introspective signs. Those aren't Leo on the midheaven, where like I mean, I certainly have my homebody stuff, but I like to put on a good show.
Yeah, yeah. When we were talking about the Mars conjunct Venus, I was thinking about my album for the week, or song for the week. How about song for the week?
Oh, I
I
like
don't
that.
know if you guys know, if anybody's familiar, raise your hand, with the band Wings, Paul McCartney,
Hmm.
out with an album like in the mid 70s called Venus and Mars.
Oh, really?
So I've been singing Venus and Mars are all right tonight all week long, which has only been like 3 days. But anyway, um, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna look up the lyrics to that.
Hmm.
That that album in itself. So this is another one of those kind of synchronistic kind of things, like where you're looking at energies. And that album, I remember when that album came out in high school, and I remember thinking, this is kind of an out of the box album. Like, this is kind of different. It was very innovative and everything else. And can I read these? Just a little bit of this lyric.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, standing in the hall of the great cathedral, waiting for the transport to come.
Wow.
Starship 21Z. I don't know how that, I have to do it again. ZNA9. A good friend of mine studies the stars. Venus and Mars are all right tonight.
I love it.
Love it.
That is fantastic.
I was blasting that yesterday.
For you.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff around Venus and Mars.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of books are written
Yeah. Well,
about it and stuff that, and I think that I think this is such a juicy moon, you guys. It's just
it is. It is. We have a couple coming up because that new moon in March is also a really
it's
juicy one.
also, so just to follow through with the card thing, this is the snow moon.
Mhm.
Our weather's changing right now. We were like 70 degrees today, and it's supposed to snow by 4 a.m.
That's so weird because we weren't 70, but we were 50, and I think we're supposed to have an ice storm at some point.
There
So
we go. I think I
yay,
exaggerated that temperature a little bit, but anyway.
but still.
And this full moon corresponds, for Buddhists. Did you know this? It corresponds with, I'm gonna chop this up. I know the Magabucha,
Hmm.
which is the celebration. Listen to this, Lisa.
Uh-huh.
Ideal community.
You're kidding.
There's your Aquarius.
That's Aquarius, ideal community. That's what it's all about.
So I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, so you start to look into these things, and it's called Google, guys. You just get on Google and start Googling stuff, and you'll see all the little interconnections of, you start with one little thread,
Mhm.
you just kind of let your mind go, oh, well, what about that? And you
Yeah.
see the coincidences of it all. It's
Mhm.
pretty incredible.
And I had a teacher once who, because with my Capricorn mind, I come into it and I'm like, oh, is that really? It just, it just happens to be that I'm just looking at those things. And she said, you know, what if it's true? What if the fact that you found that link right now has meaning? Or what if the fact that the downy woodpecker is back on my bird feeders? What if that is meaningful? It's meaningful to, I like it, but what if it does have higher meaning? What if those coincidences are meant to be, and we are meant to draw meaning from them?
That was a teacher to give an apple to, that one.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe a caramel apple even, because
exactly.
he was a keeper.
Yeah.
But that's also your your scorpionic stuff. I've got a
Mhm.
lot of stuff going on in Scorpio too, so I know we love to do that stuff, you
Mhm.
know, and it offers some validation and makes us feel like, yeah, that story's true, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, th- there is something else I found too with this full moon.
Yes.
It's in
Do tell.
the heart of the lion. It's in Leo.
Mhm.
It is going to be very, very near the fixed star Regulus.
Oh, interesting.
And oh, listen to this good stuff. I said, okay, I'm going to look up and see, not like the mystical or Latin or whatever definition. I'm going to look up and just see what the good old Americans want to give a definition to Regulus
Mhm.
as. And it is defined as a metallic form of substance obtained by smelting or reduction, or it could be a petty king. Okay. Mind you guys, we've got a lot of different things going on. But in astrology, it means kingliness.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, I don't know. I suppose you could apply petty kingliness to that, you know, depending on the circumstance.
Sometimes Leo energy can be petty.
You know, like I'm just thinking about a certain, well, I shouldn't even name him out. I was going to say a certain Russian leader, but,
But
you know, leaders in general, right?
exactly. Yes.
And the things that are going on in that part
Mhm.
of things in the world.
And interestingly, since you bring that up, Leo is the sign of royalty, and Aquarius, opposite Leo, is the sign of the people, is the sign of
Oh,
the community. So
beautiful. And now
yeah.
what's happening today? What started happening today and yesterday? They started to de-escalate.
Mhm.
I find that amazing because
Yeah.
Regulus in astrology, Regulus, um, it moved into Virgo in
Oh, interesting.
2011.
Uh-huh.
So now we had that back in 2011, but then the moon just went into Virgo.
Mhm.
And so for me, I'm going, oh God, that's just so beautiful. That's
Mhm.
just so beautiful.
Right. So
Because
do you want to talk about Virgo energy a little bit? Or do you want me to talk about Virgo energy?
yeah, maybe I don't know if I should, because there might be like delicious 4-letter words in there. But anyway,
And that's why I wanted to do this with you.
Virgo is, well, Virgo to me is a very feminine sign, and I don't
Mhm.
necessarily mean gender wise, but it's gentler. I think it's a little gentler than Leo. So it's going to be, but that doesn't mean it's a pushover. Don't
Mm-mm.
wrong. So
No,
there's
not at all.
female goddess energy equated with Virgo. Um, you know, Virgo can be the sign of perfectionism, and it can be the sign, but I don't think that's in a way that's necessarily negative, but it's more like, to me, it conjures up the idea of that mom who's so organized, she can do it all, and she does it with ease.
Mhm.
That's kind of a Virgo energy.
Yeah. I always think of Virgos as like the alchemists. Like they can see the big picture. They can see how it all fits together, but they can take it and change it and know the pieces, and they know what's essential and what needs to be there and what doesn't. And
That's
I
really,
just like
yeah.
I don't have a ton of Virgo in my chart, but I have a real a high regard. So Regulus at Virgo, I think, is a beautiful
Regulus in Virgo, and then
placement.
moon moving in there. And to me, it's kind, and then, you know, you're talking about going from this masculine sign of Leo into this mutable feminine sign of Virgo.
Mhm.
And like from the sign of me and mine into the sign of goddess and the mother.
Mhm. So
Good.
so we equate Virgo with Demeter in mythology. So Persephone's mother, if any of you are mythologically inclined, and I know at least one of you is.
And so I'm thinking, you know, this might be, well, hey, let's just say, you know, I think women, we've been waiting around a long time for, you know, I have anyway,
Mhm.
for things to like be substantially change, you know, in terms of our cooperation in this planet.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if this is not a this is a marker here, you know,
Mhm.
this is a time that's saying, well, the energies are starting to shift to the point where, yes, Afghani women, you're going to be able to exact a change, or
Mhm.
yeah, you know, now saying all this, I was extremely disappointed that Virginia, what's her name? Settled with Prince Andrew
Oh,
yesterday.
I heard that. Yeah.
A little disappointed in that.
Mhm.
But I always hold the thing that, hey, this is not my business.
Right.
That is not my business. I do not know the particulars. It
Mhm.
makes sense. What are we talking about again? Regulus.
Mhm. Right.
You know, these um families of wealth and title, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I'm wondering if all this energy could bode well for the planet in terms of maybe finding some creative alternatives to war,
Mhm.
you know, and maybe finding some creative alternatives to these really heavy areas that still exist where it's very male dominated, patriarchal, and you know, I don't, this is not, I want to preface all of it with, it's not an intention to get political or anything. I totally respect everybody's view and you know,
Mhm.
everything. Um,
So two thoughts on that. The first one, I wonder, so this, we mentioned that Venus and Mars are coming together, but it's happening in a really strange way, in a way that I don't know, certainly has not happened since I have been following astrology. And I was listening to one of my mentors, and she said, like, I haven't seen this. So what's happening is Mars is overtaking Venus. So their kiss yesterday was Mars meeting Venus.
oh,
But Venus typically moves faster than Mars. It's because of the retrograde cycle, and you don't have to understand all that. But what's going to happen is that Venus is going to then overtake Mars on March 3rd, early March, somewhere in there. Um, and it's going to happen at the point where Saturn and Jupiter met in December of 2020, which was an initiation into a new 200-year cycle. So those points when that happens, and when planets come together like that and hit on points that have been touched with significant transits, they're sensitive, and so it's a reinitiation. So as you're talking about this, it seems like that's like there is potential for movement, and then we've got these other aspects that are coming together that really that are flowing and easy and give us the chance to really kind of shake up the old entrenched
right.
structures and give us some new ways. And it doesn't like we can still screw this up, but
Big time, yeah, but it's an
yeah.
opportunity. But see, that's also, I think, where the nodes squaring
Hmm.
come into play too, because what the energy you were just describing with that planetary shenanigans, you know, that kind
Hmm.
of run and then I'm gonna eat you. I don't know.
Exactly.
Um, which, dang, I love that. But anyway, makes me feel like this ties into the moon squaring the north node. Like we're on the way somewhere,
Hmm.
on the way, we're making progress, and it's going to take some cleaning out,
Hmm.
maybe some fucking inconvenience, but we're gonna move this time.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen, which takes me back to that smelting
Hmm.
part of the metallic form.
Hmm.
Yeah, you know, it's not just throw it in the fire and you're going to come out with this gorgeous golden, you know, ring to rule the world. There's going to be some activity before we get there, you know, which is
Hmm.
life, I mean, in general. But but it all ricochets. All that stuff ricochets around to me and goes, wow, this is such a juicy moon.
It is. So yeah, I know several of you on the call, and I know you're like, Kelly and I are a lot more into this than you are, but I hope we're imparting that these are exciting times between now and probably mid-May. It's full steam ahead. There's a lot of opportunity to reimagine our dreams and to move forward with that. As we get into the fall, we're going to have some chances to revise and to rethink, and hopefully we won't all grind back down. Hopefully it will be more of that introspective kind of energy. But yeah, it's a time to embrace and the last thing I wanted to say, Kelly, about Regulus and the leaders and the transitions, and then I'm thinking I would like to open it up to the people on the call if there are questions you have or comments you have. And again, I know a lot of you are new to astrology, but we'd also like some feedback. Is this interesting and fun? But before I say that, let me so be thinking about what you might want to say or what constructive criticism you might want to give us. But in in this royalty versus the people, or me versus us kind of energy, we have happening this week the first of the United States' Pluto transit. So that Pluto is coming back around in the sky to the place it was when the United States was formed. And Pluto was discovered in the 1930s, I believe. Is that right? And so we haven't seen this. We can look back in history and see how this played out, like in the Roman Empire and the British Empire. We haven't really lived it since Pluto has been discovered. And so, so while I think there's forward progress and some really interesting potential, I also think we're not there yet. And like we've got some time. So the Pluto return happens 3 times over the next 2 years, I believe. And then there's some Uranus aspects, and Uranus is again revolution and upheaval and breaking down the old structures. So for me, I'm guessing that at least in the US and Europe's got similar, many countries in Europe have similar kinds of structures because they were formed about the same time. So yeah, so I it will be interesting to see what happens in the world, but I would guess that although this energy is like personally invigorating, and I think we will move forward, just a fair warning that it in terms of the astrology, I think we've got a long road ahead.
We do. But you know what? You can't make the golden ring unless you melt the stuff down and do
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
So it's a process, and it's cyclical all the time. I mean, this is life, man. This is life as a human.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very exciting. The only thing about the full moon that I don't know, we probably did touch on, but in terms of, because you and I have been discussing all of this energy moving forward now,
Mm-hmm.
during a full moon time is a time to just sit, take a breath. It's fulfillment. It's a time. And I know you and I just jumped into, everything that was happening on and everything else, because it's just exciting energy. But I don't want us to be remiss in not saying, don't don't panic. Enjoy this full moon,
exactly.
and feel it, and know that she's got your back, man.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
And that is a good point, Kelly, because when we live in natural timing and we live in lunar timing, between the new moon and the full moon is our time of expansion. It's our in-breath. It's the time when we build and we grow and we create. And then the full moon, we shine and we enjoy the beauty, and we let what we've built be illuminated. But then that time between the full moon and the new moon really it's the exhale. It's the time to release. It's the time to really be quiet and be internal and figure out what are the real essential pieces And I think that's something we don't do well in our society. So I want to share that with everybody. The next couple weeks, like, it's okay to be tired or be more quiet, or not to feel like, like you can take on the world. We're not supposed to.
Right.
The day, the sun's up half the day and it sets, for the other half of the day. Like it's half of the time we go and half of the time we rest. And so
You
we're
have
entering.
you have our permission to go take a bubble bath at 10 in the morning.
Absolutely. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's also a self-care kind of moment,
Mhm.
of being able to really pay attention to what your own needs are.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Particularly during the last few days before the new moon. So in about a week and a half, it's called the balsamic phase of the moon. And one of the mentors that Kelly and I work with, the mentor we met through, has actually, and of course she runs her own business, so she can do these things. She during the balsamic moon, she is not taking any appointments. She's just really, it's not that she's not doing things, but she's just being internally focused, and she's listening to her body and listening to herself. And I think that's fantastic. I
Yeah.
think that's so exciting.
This is a shift we all need to start doing,
Mhm.
and it's difficult. It's difficult for other people more than others, but I think it's happening. I think it's happening
Mhm.
across the board, and
I
all
think so too.
these
Yeah.
structures that are going to change because of it, whether it's, public school systems, and that's kind of what the pandemic
Mhm.
woke us up to. And I think that pandemic was probably talking to the moon and, you know, the planets and everybody, and saying, hey, maybe you guys haven't been able to pull this off. Why don't you
Mhm.
be in there? I don't know. And
Yep.
so another visual here of the, wild river rafting river is, I don't have to jump in right away. There's a nice little pool over there where the water eddies.
Mhm.
I'm going to go test that inner tube out over there.
Right.
you know
Exactly. Yeah, we can take our time. We have a nice long stretch of this really supportive, positive energy.
Always, there's always choice, always.
Mhm. We have free will. Yes. Yeah, that one of the things I when I teach astrology classes, I like to say is astrology is the weather. Like, it's the rain, it's the snow, it's the hot sunny days, but you are the gardener, and you know not to plant tomatoes in November. And so astrology just gives you those hints, but you get to decide. You can plant all the tomatoes you want in November if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, with that, let's do any of you have thoughts or questions or comments for us? How's this energy showing up in your lives? And I will let you can unmute, or you can put something in the comments. I see a note to Bronwyn. Bronwyn Simons is our mentor, who is the one who's doing the balsamic moon exercise, which I'm so totally trying to emulate. I think that's fantastic. So, thoughts, questions, comments? Was this interesting and useful? You're all going to be
You
quiet.
guys go out to dinner.
I know it's hard in a forum like this. Oh, Annabelle says very interesting. Thank you, Annabelle. Kelly, Annabelle is a potentially budding astrologer. So,
Hey, Annabelle.
yeah,
Go girl.
yes. Ah,
Good.
good, 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 good. I love the image of the Eddie. Thank you, Rini. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Um, so so Kelly, you're working on altar cards. Do you have any art shows or anything coming up, or just
No, no. I have I don't even know if I want to bring it out into the air because maybe to jinx it, but I have I have something that I have applied for. And so in March,
ooh,
the answers
Exciting.
coming for that, art related, and we'll see. It's a grant, and I don't know anything about grants, or I don't know what their parameters are going to be. And
Mhm.
I'm not expecting anything, but it's just when I look at the chart and I see these things and where they are in it, I'm like, well, it would be like perfect timing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm really curious just to see
See what
happens.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
as I
well,
mentioned,
you've got a gazillion things
I
going
got a
on.
gazillion things because I'm at yeah, I'm at that point in my solar year where I'm supposed to be like starting everything, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so so actually tomorrow night, I don't know if I told you this, Kelly. Tomorrow night, I'm doing a party, and I'm doing so it's three women who wanted me to come, and so I'm astrologizing for like three
Oh, I
hours
love
tomorrow
it.
night. I've never done three readings in a row, so this will be interesting to see. It will be good for me.
That is
So
such a good idea.
isn't it fun? It's so
Yeah.
fun. I'm so looking forward to it, and I'm bringing my child Ej, and for those of you, Ej is non-binary and uses they them pronouns. So I'm bringing Ej with me, and Ej reads tarot. He's really a talented tarot reader. So I'm going to do the astrology, and Ej is going to do tarot readings with the two that aren't astrologizing. And so we are so looking forward to it. So that is going to be so fun.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and then this weekend, there's a conference, a winter retreat conference at Allerton Park for those of you who are in town. And it's just a beautiful. So it's got a mansion on it, and it was once a private estate, and then it was donated to the University of Illinois. And anyway, there's this retreat this weekend, and I'm going to do a talk on living in natural timing, where I'm going to talk about just living with the moon, and living in, doing this and how you put it in your life and that kind of stuff. So that's super exciting.
Beautiful.
And then, yeah, then I'm gonna rest for a little bit, and then in May I've got some more things coming with her creative collective, and I do teach some classes at our community college. So yeah, I've got a lot going on, which is super cool. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Excellent. Excellent.
all right.
Well, that
Well,
was fun.
this was fun. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for those of you who joined us. Kelly and Kelly, I plan to do this again, and I hope that you will come back and we
I would
could,
love to.
yeah. So we'll decide whether maybe we do it every full moon, maybe we do it new moons and full moons. We'll have to think about that.
Okay.
But
Sounds good.
thank you for joining us, and let either of us know if you have questions, comments, concerns, or otherwise. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so much.